Hello, hello, hello.
Oh,
Welcome to Moms in the Huddle. Well, in the huddle, no parent stands alone. I am your host, Erica Morgan, mother of Samaj Morgan. He plays at the University of Michigan. He is a wide receiver, number 0. Look out for him this season. This should be an explosive season. I'm also the mother of Tyler Tice, which is my eldest, and a mama's boy. But those are my 2 boys, and that's why I'm here. We're in the huddle with it, ain't we, Jillian?
yes, we are. That's why I'm here. My name is Jillian Blackwell. I am the proud mother of 3 boys, Mackenzie, Jonathan, and Robert, 22, 20, and 17. My son, Jonathan, Christian Perry Blackwell, he'd be like, Mama, why you say my whole name?
Wait a minute, Christian Perry Blackwell?
Long name. It's a long story.
That's okay.
Yeah, long story. Wanted to make sure every family was represented. But he is a point guard at University of Wisconsin. They're going to have an amazing year. I'm super excited about it. I got to say, go blue again and go red.
Yes, go blue.
Go Badgers.
Yes, go blue. We have to put that in there because our boys, they are where they are at Division I because they worked hard. So we definitely got to give a shout out to the schools. They are developing great athletes, right?
They are. Yes, they are. Yes. We gotta get a red shirt and a blue shirt.
You know what? We got a blue shirt. We just don't have no red shirt. I don't know if I can throw on red and say red.
But you have to have amazing blue Moms in a Huddle shirt, and I can have a red.
We got to represent. We do. But I will say, today's show is going to be very, 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 very good. I know we are inundating our crowd and everyone that comes and watches with NIL, or understanding investing because these boys are making money, right, Jillian? It's so much that is happening around the landscapes of these college deals and things that we just don't know, right?
Yeah. We have to educate ourselves, and that's why we are bringing people on the show on this episode to talk about that. And so as we're growing, we want to make sure no parent stand alone and no parent is standing on the sideline scratching their head trying to figure it out. And so we bring resources to the platform so we can have those conversations.
Yeah. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you go and let your family know to like, comment, and subscribe. Go to our YouTube channel, Moms in a Huddle, Instagram, Facebook. What else we got, Jillian?
We want to make sure you go to our website. If there's questions, comments, or individuals you want us to interview, we still have, we talk about social media, but website, that is our address. That's our real estate right there. So whenever you really want to find us, you can certainly find us on www.momsinthehuddle.com.
Yes. Well, Jillian, I don't know about you. When I was a little girl, I ran track, right? And when I would come home on Thursday nights as a little girl, after I was done running track, I played that sport or done that sport. My mom would always let us sit down, and roughly at about 8 o'clock, the Cosby Show would come on, right?
Yes.
And Theo was all our big brothers, right? And we are sad to announce, and not us announcing it first, but the passing of Malcolm Jamal Warner.
Yes, sad. Yeah, it was a shame to hear that there was an accidental drowning in Costa Rica. 1 minute you're here enjoying your family. I understood that he got, again, it was accidental drowning. I think he got caught in the waves. My husband came home and told me sad story. And so certainly our prayers go out to his family. He had such a wonderful life, and I'm sure so many good things he was working on. He actually I was just doing some research. He had a podcast called Not All Hood, Moms of the Hood, Not All Hood. And,
right.
And the theme was about Black masculinity and mental health, media representation. So it's a loss, and I'm just praying for his family that they take themselves.
And that's something that life is so unsure. You don't never know. He was just on, I believe, the Sherry Shepherd show earlier this month. And when you think about it, this man not knowing that your last breath could have been where you are at, swimming with your family and enjoying life. And so I just want to say to his family, we are definitely praying for you. He was definitely a pinnacle in our community. He was what a young Black man represented during the 80s, the 90s. And I don't think we caught him in any scandals. He really represented in a way that made us feel like he was our big brother Theo, right? He was the only boy, right, on the show. So,
and always had that beautiful smile. Someone actually made this. I found out someone actually made this in AI. But it's a beautiful representative of him and his family.
Wow. Well, I'm gonna always remember that smile. I watched him on Malcolm and Eddie. He just had such great comedic energy. And so, like I said, I pray for his family. We thank you, Mr. Malcolm Jamal Warner, for your legacy that you are leaving in the earth. And I do pray. I don't know what his faith was, but I'm going to assume and I hope that we will see him again.
Absolutely.
So,
other than that, the only thing you can do is leave a legacy. And the only thing you have, my mother said this to me, many people said, the only thing you have is your name. And so he does have a positive, so he left that imprint for us. Not only the imprint when we were young, but he also continued his legacy when he got older. Because sometimes when, young actors, they kind of fade away, but he did not. He stayed in the light and always had something positive to say. So certainly he will be missed, but he did leave a legacy and a positive one at that.
Yes, he did. He left a legacy. But the good thing with it is, like you say, is it's good to have a great name more than riches. Yeah, we're talking about money, but it's always good to have a great name that people can remember that who you are in this world, you really had a great legacy and you left it amongst everyone. So we just wanted to honor him for that moment. So we're coming to that point, Jillian, where we're going to bring on Mr. FredDY Sharp, right? Now, here's the thing. He's actually Frederick Sharp Jr., right? I personally know his father. I interned with him at the ATF. His dad was the ATF agent, special agent, where he taught me a lot of things because I thought I wanted to go be that bad girl, Jillian. I wanted to go first to the FBI. Then I got connected with the ATF agent, and Fred Sharp was just an amazing, amazing guy that took me under his wings to show me different things about that. Well, while he's teaching me about the world of law enforcement and all those good things, he was also talking about his sons. Like, it's something when you see a man that just loves his children. He has two sons, Sterling Sharp, and he also has FredDY Sharp, which is Frederick Sharp Jr. And when I say he talked about his boys in baseball, he talked about their journey and what they were doing. And we kind of followed it, right?
Men and their sons, they could talk all day.
Yes. So I was able to kind of follow this young man's journey and what he has done. I think he played baseball. I think he played parts of Major League Baseball. He also now here's the thing, and this is really what we really want to pick his brain about. When you have a young man where you're able to pick a brilliant young man's mind that have sown into his community. Let me just read to you his resume. I like to read people's resume because you have to give credit where credit is due. Okay. Fred Sharp. That's right. And we got to brag on that. So here we go. Fred Sharp is the managing partner of Clubhouse Capital, a venture firm focused on investing in premier sports teams, leagues, and technology-driven companies shaping the future of sports. Drawing on his operational leadership at SAP, where he served as the global chief of staff for the $4 billion intelligence spin and business network division. Now, I'm just going to stop right there. Did you hear $4 billion?
I heard the B.
It's the B. It's the B for me.
There. Yeah. It's the B
for me. Okay. And so Fred brings deep expertise in strategic execution, cross-functional alignment, and global business transformation. Now, before Clubhouse Capital, Fred held senior roles in the business operations and enterprise sales at SAP and Ariba, which is the leading initiatives across 60 countries. He also served on SAP's Emerging Talent Advisory Board, guiding the company's next generation of leaders. He is a former Division I athlete. Now that's beautiful. So we really in a huddle with him there. He's a former Division I athlete turned executive. Fred is passionate about helping athletes and business leaders build long-term wealth. I love that. And cultural influence through aligned capital. Fred earned both his undergrad and graduate degrees in business administration from Bowling Green State University. He lives in the Detroit area with his wife, Mara, a former NCAA American diver. Wow, we got to bring her on. She was an American diver. She was a diver, and their 2 children, Layla and Milo. Y'all, let's welcome to the stage Mr. Fred Sharp. We're gonna bring him into the huddle with us today.
Thank you. I need to bring you two along anytime I need an introduction.
Welcome to the huddle.
Hit the play button. Listen to what they said about me.
Thank you for having me. And I have to say, being a baseball player, my mom has a Facebook group called Black Baseball Moms. And so what you guys have done and created Moms in the Huddle to give moms a voice, I just have to, give you both my kudos and applaud you guys, because I know how much my mom, both my parents, but my mom did to get us to games, to get us to practice and everything after school. And so I know you guys have done the exact same thing. So kudos to you for the show, the podcast, and everything you're doing for all the moms out there.
And we have to bring Mom on too, because here's the thing. She's been in the huddle on that aspect of Major League Baseball. Me and Jillian only got our experience in myself, football, and Jillian, yours is what?
I was going to say baseball, basketball, but Eric and I started a long time ago, so we've been through the journey, but certainly not the next level yet. The next level,
it'll be here before you know it.
I know, right? Yeah. So, Fred, we just welcome you to the show. You, as a young man, have done so much in your years of playing sports and just your years on this earth. I want you to first take us to the journey of baseball. How did you start? What happened? What was your love for it there? And then transition us to, we're going to definitely get into Clubhouse Capital, but start at the beginning for yourself.
Yeah. So at first I didn't like baseball. I like basketball. Basketball is my sport. My dad played basketball. We always had a hoop in the front yard, so we would play basketball. And my brother started playing baseball in Southfield Youth Baseball. And so he was playing, and one day I was like, he's playing, I should play too. And so I signed up, and then next thing you know, he enjoyed pitching. It got to the point where he was throwing too hard, so I figured I'll start catching, and that's kind of how everything came to be, and how I ended up being a catcher. But growing up, as I started to fall in love with baseball, they call the catchers, like, you have these tools of ignorance, right? You go into it, you don't really know what to expect, but once you find out, you're too ignorant to know what's going on to really care. And so I was just always that type A person that wanted to be involved in all the action. And so catching was where I found my sauce. You can kind of lead, people in various different positions. You're touching the ball on every single play, every single pitch. And so that's kind of how I approach life now, right? You mentioned the leadership roles at SAP, and now trying to build this company up from scratch. I take all that into to where I am today. But so I started playing, obviously went to North Farmington High School.
Okay.
Yep. 3 years started there at North Farmington High School, ended up going to Bowling Green and then walking on and really having to earn my spot. Another little chip on the shoulder.
You are a walk-on, Fred?
Walk-on, yeah.
Yeah, we love that. We love those stories. Yeah. We just had 2 athletes, one from Wisconsin and one from Michigan, that talked about their journey as a walk-on and now full scholarship.
Yeah. So granted, baseball doesn't have as many scholarships to hand out as football and basketball, but I definitely felt like I earned my spot, and I had to earn it every day. And that's kind of that mindset that I take into work, right? Starting at SAP, you walk in, you're new, you have to sell to these accounts that don't really want to talk to you, and you're going to hear no probably 30 times before you just get a yes to take a meeting, and they're not even going to buy anything. They're just going to talk to you. So taking that mindset into it every day, and then transitioning into chief of staff, and now Clubhouse Capital, and so that's just kind of how it came to be, right? I think baseball, you fail so much, it teaches you, right? Whereas if you look at the best players in the world, they're not getting hit 7 out of 10 times. So 3 out of 10 times, you're successful. If you're making 30% of your free throws, you're not going to be seeing the court. Or if you're hitting 30% of your field goals, that the backup kicker is going to come and take your spot. And so really just learning how to deal with failure and overcome failure is one of those big lessons that I took from baseball and apply it to business and life and trying to instill that in my kids as they grow up now at 5 and 2.
Oh, 5 and 2. Now Milo is your youngest?
He is, yes. He's a 2-year-old ball of energy, that's for sure.
Okay, wow.
Enjoy that 2-year-old ball of energy because they'll be 22 before you know it. So enjoy that. Enjoy that. So, I love what your background. I have a similar background. I work for Xerox at Microsoft. Now I work for Amazon in cloud. So I totally understand how it is when you're trying to get that appointment and secure the bag. But how did your time at SAP prepare you for the kind of strategic leadership you're doing here? When I think about, the transition, and you talked about it earlier, is appreciating the failure and learning from that. When my old days in sales, I would have to make 10 calls and get one appointment. And so thinking about you as an entrepreneur and the leadership roles you had at SAP, talk about those leadership and how it got you to what you're doing now.
Yeah, I think that chief of staff job opened up my eyes to a lot, right? You go from only worrying about yourself and trying to hit a number, right? And then you step into this chief of staff job where what started as $1 billion but turned into $4 billion, and you've got 2,000 employees that all want your attention or want something from you. And so really learning to take a step back and realize it is not about me, right? So how can I serve and be a good leader and make sure that you are getting everything you need out of me to be successful? And so it's tough because you can't prioritize everybody, but learning how to have those tough conversations, learning how to express your feelings of why this is getting prioritization over this one over here. And so as I think about how that goes into today, it's like, hey, you're looking at 20, 30 deals per week for everyone that wants you to invest in their company, and you just can't do it, right? I mean, I know we'll talk about investing in Clubhouse Capital later, but it's a numbers game, right? You're hoping to as many companies as possible, knowing that probably 7 out of 10 of them are going to go to zero. And you're hoping that 3 out of 10 of them return the fund just because of the exponential returns. And so really being picky about which one of those companies you're going to invest in, I think is one of the big lessons that I've taken from that chief of staff and those leadership roles of, hey, it's not about me, but at the end of the day, like I have to make the best decision for the business. And if you can present me the best business case as to why that is the best decision, then, we can dive into this further. But really knowing how to navigate those conversations, learning with different emotions and different cultural backgrounds, and dealing with borders and how people in Germany and France take off the entire month of July, and you're not going to get any business done, right? Nuances that come with different cultures and ethnicities as the world becomes more interconnected. Really opened my eyes in that time as a chief of staff, which I think bodes me well as we start to look at different companies with founders from different walks of life and look to become a global brand and a name in the space.
Wow. And Fred, you are how old?
I just turned 34.
You just turned 34 and you've been a chief of staff. You've handled $4 billion companies. I also, when I was looking at, some things about you, it said, okay, you're based here in Detroit, Michigan, but Amsterdam. So what's going on there? Like, give me some information with that. You're like not just here in the States. You are here. You are overseas.
Yes. So I think it starts with me meeting my wife, who is Romanian. And so having a Romanian wife and having family in Europe and understanding, the cultural differences that go along with that, but also opening my eyes to the broader world, right? And there's so many more people outside of just Michigan, America, the United States, and what you're used to. So that has really opened my eyes. And then obviously transitioning into that chief of staff job and having 60 countries under your purview, you become more of a global citizen, right? And so as when I first started Clubhouse Capital, it was just me. And the idea was, hey, we're just going to invest in companies. But then I was fortunate enough to find 2 partners, both of which are in Europe. One's in Amsterdam, one's in Germany. And we thought about it from the standpoint of, yes, America is America. The majority of the is here, but we don't want to miss out on those companies that are in Europe that maybe aren't getting the attention of those American dollars, and maybe we're first to those companies, which helps us in the long run. And so we really just wanted to take a global perspective into how we invest and how we operate. And so while yes, Detroit and Amsterdam are the two hubs that we've set up.
Wow, that's amazing. And in Germany too, you have your partner in Germany as well.
Yeah, he's most likely moving back to the U.S., but he is German, so we do have those connections. And he's represented a lot of German soccer players, football players, and so we still have those connections as well. But yeah, I mean, we want to be global. We want to be household name not only in Michigan and the United States, but also in Europe.
Wow.
Yeah. So I know there's a lot to unpack. I think about the population of my church with the Romanians there. So I love Romanians. I've been to Budapest. I love travel. My husband traveled overseas. So I love that perspective. I love the fact that you have expanded outside of the United States and making sure you have representation there. I think there's another organization that I want to talk to you about afterwards that is doing the same thing. He's an agent, has based in California, but also have partners overseas and working with athletes and maybe not play in NBA, but also play basketball overseas. So we got to have some conversation. But anyway, so talk to me or talk to us about Clubhouse Capital. Like, what inspired you to create it? You mentioned you started it yourself.
Yep.
What sets your firm apart in the sports investment space? Like, what came out of you say, listen, I see a gap, I see a need, and let me start it. And then you had this aha moment to say, but I also need help.
Yeah. I think why it started is very simple. I missed the locker room or the clubhouse in baseball terms, right? And I think where both of your sons probably don't realize this yet, when they're done playing, they're not going to miss the games, the practice. They're going to miss that time on the plane, the time on the bus, the time in the locker room, hanging out. And so that's what I miss the most. And when you talk about gaps, I think there's a lot of similar firms out there that are investing and say they have athletes as investors. But I think they are simply that, right? They're blank check funds is the way that I would describe it. So they're setting up a big fund and they're just going to pool as much capital from athletes as they can and say, hey, we've got Samaj Morgan on the cap table, right? But what interaction are they really having with Samaj? Are they asking for his advice? Are they bringing him into meetings to say, hey, this is how these negotiations really happen? If they have a board, can they bring him to a board meeting and let him see how a board meeting happens and how it operates and the prep that goes into it before and after? I don't think so. Maybe for the Patrick Mahomes or the Travis Kelce's, but for everyone else, I don't think so. And so us, I was also an athlete. So I understand the athlete side of it, and I've got the business side of it, which is an interesting mix you don't see too often. So I think it's a combination of being a business leader with an athlete background that understands the finance portion of it. Also being willing to have these athletes come in and be as involved as they want to be, right?
I like that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go to an athlete and say, hey, I want you to invest, but I don't want you to speak up, right? Because
no shut up and dribble over here.
Yeah,
no
exactly.
Shut up. No.
Exactly. Right. And if you're an investor, you're a limited partner. Like, limited's there, but you are a partner, right? And so I want you to be as involved as you want to be. I want you to ask questions. I want you to want to come to meetings. I want you to come to events. I want you to sit courtside next to Mark Walter, who owns the Lakers, and pick his brain and ask questions, right? And so that's where we want to differentiate ourselves and say, hey, if you're going to invest with us, you can have as much access as you want, whether it's a $50,000 check or a $5 million check. Granted, there's a certain number of invites, and we'll have to prioritize some over the others. But
right,
you're going to have as much access as you can possibly want with us. And we think we have just as good, if not better, deal flow and deals as some of the other big guys out there. And so you're not missing out by going to a much bigger partner where you're going to be a number, right? Come to us, you're going to be a partner. You're going to have a voice, and we're going to be able to do business together and like you said, create that generational wealth together.
Now, I heard, I mean, I don't know, but I would like more information that you have part owner in owning teams in other countries. I don't know if it's a soccer team or a baseball team. Give us some information about that. I'm very curious because rarely do you hear a 34-year-old has part ownership in any team.
Yes.
Right.
So,
ownership.
Yeah. So funny enough, just the way this kind of world all works is it's a very tight knit world. And so one thing I will say is the relationships that you build, everybody knows everybody. So
yeah.
I think one of you mentioned at the beginning, you have your last name. That's it. Right. And so my last name, my brand, like that's going to stick with me forever. And so I really like to make sure that the relationships that I've built continue to stay strong. And so was fortunate enough to meet the head of sport investment at the British consulate. And so if you think of any types of money that flows in or out of the United Kingdom for sport related investments, he's kind of the go-between between all of that. And so he introduced me to a family out of South Carolina here in the U.S. They're longtime soccer ownership, and they've put a group together that goes out and buys a number of teams across the world, Europe, Latin America, Brazil, you name it. And so got connected with them, and soccer ownership was kind of that cool, sexy thing that everybody was doing. Hey, why not we do it, right? But for meeting them, we understood that there was a lot that we needed to learn about owning a soccer team, whether it's a minority stake or controlling stake. And so for them, having that operational rigor and practice in place of having done it for the last 20 years, we felt really comfortable with the model that they had put together to where this gives us an opportunity to own not only one, but multiple. And it'll likely be 6 here in 2026, where we'll have a small stake in 6 teams across Europe and in Latin America. And we get, access to the owner suites. We get access to the gals running the team to understand what really goes into it, with the upside of obviously making returns. Therefore, when we are ready to go out and say, hey, we want to invest directly into a team on our own, we have a fallback on that says, hey, we've seen it. We know what works. We know what doesn't. And we're able to offer some expertise or some know-how versus just coming in fresh. And so this was just an interesting setup to where we got a really good discount. We got some really good terms, and it was just an opportunity for us to make a really good investment that sets us up for the future.
Wow. Well,
that is impressive, Fred. Like, really, I mean, very impressive. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jillian.
No, I was just curious because I know Detroit has a soccer team. Any investment in that soccer team?
So as personally, and outside of Clubhouse Capital, personally, being from Detroit, I want to make it a priority to invest and own a piece of a Detroit team, preferably a women's team. Just knowing my daughter, something to pass along to her. But yes, the soccer space or football for the European listeners out there is interesting in the sense where now you've got the European leagues that historically everyone watches. That's where all the money goes. So like the Premier League, Serie A in Italy. You've got La Liga in Spain. And then you have some of these up-and-coming players like the USL, which is where the Detroit team plays. And so for me, as I look at it, the USL is attractive in the sense that the barrier to entry is a lot lower. But the media rights and the dollars that help increase the valuation for us to get those returns aren't there yet. But I think it's growing. I think MLS has a plan to integrate them to make it a little bit more attractive. And so I think as that starts to come together, that's something that we'll take a look at more seriously. But it's definitely an interesting time in the sports space with a lot of different new emerging leagues that are coming that I think could be pretty lucrative.
Oh, wow. We got someone want to ask you a question about Formula One racing. Somebody want to ask a question about that. And that's a good thing, because to me, I know you sound just like the jack of all trades. Like, what's going on with that?
I really love Formula One.
Okay, tell us about that. It's Formula One racing. What is that about, and what is it?
So obviously you have NASCAR, which I think most Americans know about, which is the closed wheel racing, which it looks more like a car that you drive every day. The wheels are inside the body of the car there. Formula One, obviously open wheel racing, and it's global. It's a global phenomenon, really. There's a group called Liberty Media. Especially with the new movie coming out now with all the attention in the U.S. But I believe in 2008, there's a group called Liberty Media who owns the Atlanta Braves, actually. They went out and bought Formula One, the racing circuit. And they, for about, I think it was like $8 billion maybe. And they came out, they had the Netflix documentary Drive to Survive came out. And it just blew up, right? It was always very popular in small pockets in Europe and Asia. But the documentary on Netflix really caused it to explode. And so now with some of the rules that they've implemented regarding cost caps, so teams can't spend above a certain amount, increase parity across the league. There's new media deals that have come in with ESPN, I think paying $90 million. And now there's rumors that Apple's going to come in and pay 130 once that deal expires here after this year. But the reason I like it is it's a scarcity aspect, right? There's 10 teams on the grid. Each team has 2 cars. So there's only 20 cars or 10 teams out there. Cadillac is bringing a team in 2026. So there's 11. And then there's rumors that there'll be a 12. But then after 12, it's locked down. There's going to be no more teams. And so it's that scarcity piece where once they lock that down, there's only 12 teams to choose from. And this the basic economics, right? There's very little, and a lot of people want it, so the price is going to go up. But then you've got the media element to it, where you're getting views from all over the world. And I went to my first race last year in London, and it is one of the best sporting events I've been to. I've sat courtside an NBA game, and I've been to the World Series. I've been to All-Star games, Formula One. And granted, we had the VIP tickets and we were in the hospitality room. But
so that's where we would want to be seated, huh?
100%. And so it's just to give you an example, the guard of everyone is down back there, right? So if you're back there, you're supposed to be back there, right? And so we're walking by, and they're filming the F1 movie. You don't know they're filming it, but Michael B. Jordan walks right by you. And there's no security, there's no nothing. Everybody's just mingling around and having a good time. There's 5-star food, there's everything you can imagine. And so from a business development standpoint, as a fund manager, you're going to raise a lot of money in those settings. You're going to be able to bring your clients to those settings and like, wow, they're going to love you. And so I really like F1 from a variety of different angles. The wealth building part of it, but then also just the connections that can be made, seeing that they're racing in every which continent that you can possibly think of.
Yeah, I think we lost Jillian. Sometimes her thing goes out and go in, but I like it because I'm able to ask the question. So here's the thing, though, because everything that you're saying, it just sounds like investment, money, return. It sounds like it's something that's good for a lot of our boys. Like even now, my son is 20 years old, right? He's making all kinds of money. When you look at an athlete like our boys, like Jonathan and Samaj, that have money, they're out here, and you talk about ownership. What does that look like in the space of NIL from your company's perspective when Clubhouse Ventures is coming out here to say, we're here. This is what we want for the athletes, and this is what we want to show you.
For us, we want, like you said, these athletes to be owners, right? I think if you have a brand that's dangling $100,000 deal in front of an athlete, that's great. But what if you could take $25,000, take a small equity position? Now, in 10 years, that brand that you took a chance on is now 10 times that $25,000. You could have $100,000, but that's a one-time fee, right? Now, you have 2% equity, which is now worth $500,000, right? And so I think for a lot of these athletes that are 18, 19, 20 coming into a lot of money, it's think about the long play, not the short, right? As we've seen with inflation, your dollar today is not going to be worth nearly what your dollar is 10 years from now, right? So how hedge against that and say, hey, I want equity versus just cash at the moment. Granted, don't get me wrong, cash flow is great, you need cash, but we're trying to balance that out, and that's the message that we want to convey, where we're gonna have investments that are gonna lock up capital for 3 to 5 years, but we also want to have an investment in a team where you own the stadium and you're gonna make a couple $100 million a year after all your expenses, and you can pay out dividends, right? And so we're trying to structure our investments in a way to where we have a strong, solid portfolio of ones where you're going to get a lot of capital appreciation over a 5 to 10 window, 5 to 10 year by having your cash being held, but we also have some where they're cash flow positive, and our investors are going to be able to get dividends to keep them excited about their money. And so I would say the big one is just ownership and asking for it, and not just saying yes to the first offer that comes across your desk.
So that's what our boys should be doing. So yeah, someone comes and say, hey, I want you to represent my brand. I want you to do this. We should be pretty much asking for ownership in somewhat of their part of their company, not the whole thing, I know, but part of their company, and investing that part of it. Is that what you're saying? Because for me as a mom, you work at companies, you work at, like I work at the court, you got a 401k, you got a plan for. Do we really go in there and invest it ourselves and understand what we're really investing in? Not all the time. Until I start really researching, what does investment means? How do I invest? So you're saying our athletes need to take more control of what they can have ownership in versus just give me the money.
100%. So I was fortunate enough, David Mugoletta, big time NFL agent. He had a financial panel at his elite week a couple weeks back. And it was Ryan Clark, Fred Taylor, both longtime NFL veterans. And I mean, that was the consensus that I took away from that meeting was these athletes need to ask questions, right? You need to understand where your money is going. And if your financial advisor, whoever, is not willing to answer those questions, or you feel as if all of your questions are not being answered, that is not a person you want to work with, right?
Absolutely.
So in your son's case, if someone comes and says, hey, we want you, Gatorade wants to do a brand deal, they're offering you X amount of cash. Like, okay, well, can we cut that cash in half and give me 2% equity, right? And Gatorade's been around, 50 years? They're not going anywhere, right? And so over the next 10 years, that $100,000 in cash, okay, that's great for the moment. And we can put it in a high yield savings account and make 4% a year, or S&P 500,
right?
10%, what have you. But that equity over in the next 5 to 10 years, it may 5x, it may 10x, it may 20x, depending on what happens. So I just think it's don't just look at that shiny 6-figure amount that's right in front of you, right?
Yes.
Think long term. Think, how can I be a part owner of this company, right? And so you don't want to get greedy, but at the same time, you have to know what you're worth. And I think that's the conversation that we need to have in the locker room, in the weight room, on the bus. And it's important for athletes to know what other athletes are making, so you can compare deals and know you're not getting ripped off by the brand that's approaching you to do a deal.
That is so good. And that's one of the reasons why we put moms in the huddle, because we want to make sure we share resources and we talk. And I love what you said. At least ask. I think about the scripture, you have not because you ask not. And so
that's right.
Sometimes if it hasn't been done, it's because no one has asked for it to be done, right? And so you can be first in getting equity in that deal. I love that approach.
I don't know
if you saw me on the side like this, I'm texting my son like, you need to be on this.
I don't know if you guys have heard the Magic Johnson Converse versus Nike story.
I only seen the Michael Jordan story.
Okay, so Magic Johnson,
they produced a movie, but go ahead.
Yeah, Magic Johnson back in the day, and I believe it was Converse and Nike. They approached him to do his shoe deal when he came out of Michigan State. And
I did hear the story.
Yes, and so I think I may get the story wrong, but I think he signed with Converse because Converse was a bigger brand at the time and gave him more money up front. But Nike gave him like 2% ownership, or it was a small number on paper. But if you were to look at what that would have been worth, in 2010, he would have been worth something like $700 million. If he would have took the deal with Nike from the equity standpoint. So again, it just proves the point. Like, cash is great, but there is there's an equity component to it as well. And just to dive a little bit further, the equity portion, if that equity starts to become worth a substantial amount, you can take a line of credit off of that from the bank.
Yeah.
And loan is tax free, so you're not paying tax on the loan.
Right.
And you don't even have to worry about your equity because it's a security-backed loan. So there's a lot of different nuances there where you can do a variety of different things when you have equity versus just cash.
Wow. So, Fred, I got so many questions. This is just so good. I feel like I'm eating, like, man. So when you think about, okay, I want you to go into talking about Lockerverse as well, about dealing with the NIL space for the sports organizations. So when let's just say if you came into like a Michigan, how does this thing look for what is Lockerverse? How do you put that in there and make it work for the athletes that are there?
Yeah, I think there's two different buckets. There's the school, right? Michigan being, and even Wisconsin, large Big Ten school, huge alumni base, rabid fans that will donate to the school until they pass away. And so from the school standpoint, they sign up for this platform. They can white label it and make it look like however they want, but all those fans can donate through the platform. And then based on the levels of which you donate, it allows you to get access to certain things. So whether it's a tailgate during the football game or interviews with the head football coach and whoever. And so that's how the schools handle it. And in this new NIL age, schools can now pay athletes $20.5 million within the House bill.
Yeah.
And so they're able to recoup that and recognize that as revenue. So it's a new revenue stream for schools in the NIL age, which they all need, right? And on the athlete side, let's say both of your sons have hundreds of thousands of followers on social media. And every year granted, we probably didn't get as much, but you get a bunch of gear every year, right? And there's no way you're going to wear it all. There's no way you're going to use it. You probably have 20 pairs of shoes you can give away and forget you have. But let's say you have this large following and you want to donate them now in this NIL age, you can profit off of your name, image, and likeness. So sign these shoes, you sign these jerseys, you give away the gear. You have a foundation. You can use Lockerverse to solicit donations, to do a bidding process where all the proceeds go to your foundation, or you can sell them, whatever you want to do. But with Lockerverse, it puts athletes at the center of owning their name, image, and likeness. So there's no middleman.
I was going to say no third party.
Yeah, there's no third party. So when there's a broker fee or whatnot, there's none of that. It goes straight to the athlete's pocket. And so I think this is just a way for athletes to own their name, image, and likeness and really take back what belongs to them. And then there's a lot of other nuanced components as it ties into your social media engagement and being able to see that data and allowing the NCAA to determine if your deals are a fair market value and that we can go into all that. But I think there's an interesting use case, especially in this NIL space, to where Lockerverse fits a unique need. Is very easily scalable in this NIL space, but then also very easily scalable across Olympic sports, where there is not as much revenue coming in from media deals and bowl appearances and things like that.
That's
So it's a very unique use case. We're super proud to be an investor. Very, very strong founding team, 2 former Stanford football players, and then 1 attorney for Morehouse. And so really, really strong team that we're excited to be a part of, and excited to see how this company rolls out as Penn State actually is a customer and goes live tomorrow. So it's exciting.
Well, let me ask you a question. You mentioned it's 2 sides. It's either the university and the student athlete. Can it be done separately? Meaning, can the student athletes be a prototype and the university is like, well, I don't know if we want to do that. Can that happen? Or is it fully rolled out? The university has to adopt it first, then deploy it to the students?
Good question.
No, so it can be. They're completely separate. So like CJ Stroud was one of the and Bronny James were one of the first to get on the platform, and so yes, they can sign up without the school. And I mean, I think having those athletes sign up and be early adopters is just an even more compelling use case for the schools to say, hey, if we have half of our football team using Lockerverse, what is this? We should take a look at it. And so as you were in sales, these big organizations, and I'm going to call the athletic departments organizations, right? Because that's what they are.
What they are.
They're hard to infiltrate. But if you have players, or in the case of a company, if you have your employees adopting something, those companies are more inclined to take a look. And so 100% athletes can sign up directly.
Okay.
Wow. Who's a part of your connection? I know you have boards to this. So who's a part of your connection, and how is it tied to what you guys are doing? And how do you think it will expand based on who you're tied to get this out there to the athletes?
Yeah. So on the board of the company, you've got David Muguleta, so the agent at Athletes First. So he represents a lot of NFL guys, a lot of up and coming college athletes in the NIL space as well. You have Savannah James, who is on the board. You have ourselves, who are a board observer, and then you have CJ Stroud as well, quarterback for the Houston Texans. So from them, the visibility that they bring is great, and then as the company has grown over the last year and a half, engagements with Playfly Sports and Learfield, who own a lot of the marketing rights and the licensing for these schools, and helping push that forward. So being able to utilize those relationships and push it out, and then selfishly for us to be able to use them to expand our brand in Clubhouse Capital and Clubhouse Ventures to continue to align ourselves with powerhouses in the space, right?
Yeah.
Like that's selfishly, as we look at it that way, but from a bigger picture, it's a team in the end. Like, we bring unique value proposition, just as Savannah, CJ, and David do. But I think it's similar to sports. You have each person that fills a role, and if you do your job, you're going to be successful. And so that's why I like working with athletes. It's a lot easier for us to get that versus someone who didn't play.
Yeah. So speaking of people who didn't play, so how can parents help their student athlete think like owners? You talked about asking those questions less like players, because oftentimes they may have the busy schedule. I mean, I'm almost trying to get my son's attention can be difficult because he's focused on, Mom, I got to be in the gym, I got to do this. And so maybe their priority, they have this NIL deal and the money is just quote unquote sitting there, and you're trying to help them navigate. They have a financial advisor. So, but how do you get them in the mindset of thinking about, I'm an owner, I want to own real estate, I want to invest. And yes, you need to balance your time, but how do you get them motivated to think, yes, I want you to play, but I also need you to think long-term, because you're not going to be always, you're going to have a wife one day, you're going to have a home one day.
Yeah. Me personally, I think a lot of motivation is self-motivation, right? Like, if you want to do it, you're going to find the time to do it, right? And I think as college athletes become more professional in a sense, right? Like that, granted, you're going to school, but basketball, football is your job, right? And as an adult with a job, I have to figure out, how do I prioritize my wife, my kids, making dinner, and everything else that's going on in life. And so I think it's very similar to the athletes. You just have to find time to do it, right? And a lot of it is probably surrounding yourself with a good team. So if you have a financial advisor, find one that is, if there's any financial advisors out there, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but there's your wirehouse financial advisors, like your Morgan Stanleys and your JP Morgans, where they have a mandate as to what they can and cannot position to you from an investment standpoint, right? So with Morgan Stanley, I believe, they're a wirehouse, so they have certain products they will offer to their clients, and they can't go outside of that bucket, right? And so therefore they're probably not inclined to offer you anything outside of that bucket. And if you bring something, they're probably, don't worry about that, we're going to offer you this, because they get paid for what they're able to sell within that bucket. Whereas if you're making enough money to where a lot of these college athletes are, an RIA, so a registered investment advisor, may make more sense, to where they are now operating under the guise of, hey, I want my client to be in the best position possible, no matter what the scope of the investment is, whether it's real estate, it's alternative, it's private credit, what have you. And so I would say really just vetting your options in terms of that team, and putting someone in your place that's going to be able to look at everything from that 360 lens. And maybe you meet once a week, but during that once a week, they have all the opportunities that you want to consider. And then you set aside, a 2-hour block on your day off to say, okay, let's look at this further. Let's look at this further. Let's look at this further. I don't like this. I don't like that. And then decide. So I think it's a matter of just prioritizing time, and really just making sure you have the right team around you that's willing to consider any and all investments that you want to consider.
And I see the SharP is 1, 2, 3, just asking all. I love the questions because here's the thing: it's really having me ask more questions. He said, ask them about options to invest in things before they go public. Example: Status Pro or GoFlows. So, what would you say about that when you are an athlete, when you're Jonathan, when you're Samaj, when you're this baseball athlete out there? Before they go public, what are options? What is available to them, and how can Clubhouse Ventures assist with that?
Yes. So both of those companies are actually companies that, so Blouse was one I invested in personally. And then Status Pro, one that we're invested in. It's a VR headset game backed by NFL. And you may have seen Jaden Daniels. He says he uses the VR before games to help recognize coverages. That's the company that he's using. So, but in order to invest in these companies before they go public, you typically have to be what they call an accredited investor. So they are not available to the general public. You can't go out and say, hey, I want to invest in Uber before it goes public. You just can't. So once you become an accredited investor, which if you're single and filing by yourself, you have to make, I think it's at least $250,000 2 years in a row with a runway to make that same amount in year 3. And then if you're married, I think it's like $300,000, or you have a net worth of $1 million, excluding your personal home. So, but when you click those boxes, you are now able to invest in these private companies before they go public. So you think of, I brought up Uber. One of the first investors in Uber invested $25,000 when the company first started. When they went public, that $25,000 turned into $25 million.
Jeez. Well, okay, can we? Now here's the thing. What about moms? Okay, we ain't talking about the athletes no more. Let's talk about the mamas. Because I mean, come on now.
We need a financial consortium of moms.
No, I mean, we're talking about these athletes. Of course, they're going to make their money during their short time span in the sports that they're playing. But this is really my next question, really. With Clubhouse Capital athletes and the business network, are you building mentorship pipelines for the young athletes entering into this space? Like, do you guys have a program that will build mentors to help these boys to understand? Because you're 34, Fred. You went through probably some bumps and bruises. My son's 20. You're 14 years his senior. How do we, like Jillian? It's like we as moms, we're trying to screen to our boys certain things in which they listen, but do you guys have a pipeline for these boys, a connection, a mentorship program that you're interested in introducing?
Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt, because sometimes they don't see that they'll be 34 one day. They see I'm 20, I'm vibrant, I got this car, I'm young, I'm a U of M player, I'm for Wisconsin. They're in the moment. Yep. And so yeah, we need mentors so we can hold their hands. And oftentimes we might be saying some of the same things that you're saying, but because it hits different.
It hits different coming from you.
Yep. Yeah. Yes. And so to answer your question, yes. And so I've whiteboarded this out and had a meeting today about how can we bring this to life. But essentially, we want to create a community of NIL athletes that are on their way to college, and then current college athletes, to where they have access to this community. And in that community, you'll have an NIL playbook that has templates for every single contract that you may possibly need, whether it's a standard NDA or a brand agreement template, to where you're not only asking for cash, but you're asking for equity. And you pay a small amount per month, but you get on this platform, you have access to everything that you can possibly need. We're looking to bring on brand partners, from CPAs to financial planners to attorneys that can help them at discounted rates when questions come up about budgeting or helping negotiate a contract. And then mentoring or peer pod circles, where you can have monthly office hours where it's a Zoom call or one-on-one, and we can offer guidance and mentorship and whatnot. And as college goes, every 3 to 4 years, the men and women athletes, they roll out. And so the idea is that once they get to that point of rolling out, as they become professional athletes or start making high and paid jobs, then there'll be another tier where we'll share deal flow with them and start to allow them to invest in some of these deals at a smaller check size than an institutional investor would. And so, yes, I personally think it's a great idea. Sounds like you think it is as well. But that's something that I missed when I was in college, and it took me a while to find some mentors that that I knew and trusted and had kind of went through the same things that I did. But now in this NIL age, I can't imagine being handed $250,000 check at 18, 19 years old.
Right.
And especially at a school like Michigan or Wisconsin, I would not be sitting here today. So if we can help kind of steer those athletes in the right direction, not that they're on the wrong track, but just give them the knowledge that they need to navigate this newfound wealth and this newfound NIL age.
Yeah. This is so rich. This is like rich information that if parents really sit and listen to this and athletes sit and listen to this, it's almost like it's a lot. But then once you really get it and you figure this thing out, the success that after these sports can be so rewarding, because it sounds like what you're explaining to us, Fred, you're in a rewarding period in your life now. You're 34. You're finished with baseball. You're now trying to figure this landscape out, because it's a new landscape. NIL is.
Yes.
You know, House v. NCAA, man, that did it, but it did restrict it, because I don't know if people understand that Trump actually just signed a bill to cap a lot of our athletes and how much they're able to make while in college.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So when we're looking at that, when they're dealing with different investments on their own separate, like your Clubhouse Ventures and other things that's happening, that's not going to be capped. Right. It shouldn't be capped. You understand what I'm saying? So sometimes you got to know how to navigate this game.
You got to get educated.
Absolutely. And that's what it sounds like you are providing for a lot of our athletes, which is so true. I mean, man, I want to invest today.
Sign me up.
I do. And I'm very serious about that. I talked to my husband about it. I talked to Samaj briefly. Of course, they're going into camp season, but when it comes down to it, a lot of decisions that he makes is because his parents are sitting talking with them and saying, hey, this is what you need to get connected to. And he'll say yes, for the simple fact he trusts his parents. We're going to make the right decisions for him. So a lot of times, Fred, it's you sitting in the room with the parents first. Yes. And then the athlete comes in later and say, I okayed and stamped it already because my mom had told us. But then by the time they come in there, by the time they get much older, they're learning how this thing looks, right? Because they have experienced it.
Yep. And obviously name, image, and likeness is kind of the topic of this conversation, right? But I think we peel back a layer of that.
Yeah.
Like you said, I've been done playing for the last 13 years. And so your sons have this aura to them, right? As being big time college athletes at Michigan and Wisconsin. Your name, image, and likeness is not going to be it's not going to be higher at any point in their lifetime. Granted, you go to become a Hall of Fame basketball player, NFL player. But you need to, strike while the iron is hot. Ooh. And when you talk about equity, we talk about all these things, that's great. But relationships, we talked on that too. If you can show up to an event or game, whatnot, as an investor, as an owner, you're most likely sitting next to someone who has a lot of money and has done something successful. And if you walk out of that without an email address, without a phone number, without a hello, what do you do? Shame on you, right?
Shame on you.
Use that name, image, and likeness it's going to get you in the rooms being who you are.
Who you are.
In that room, now you need to continue to expand and use that while you can to grow those relationships, because even when you're done playing, I can't tell you how many sports owners, investors who want to be involved in sports would love to say, hey, I've got so-and-so former star Wisconsin basketball player as an investor. They love that. That satisfies them to be able to say, hey, I sat next to so-and-so at the Knicks game, right? Or the Pistons game. So utilize that now while you can. And that's just going to sow inroads for when you're done playing, to where, hey, let's hope you have one or two investments that hit and now you've got a couple million in the bank. Now you can just continue to parlay that because you've built a solid base of relationships from the age you were 18 when you first got to school. So now when you're 33 and you're done playing, whether it's the NBA or the NFL.
Wow.
You know, I think that you guys need to come and get workshops created for these boys to have them sign up. And when in the off season, they're able to come in and listen to what you have to say. I think that can be so beneficial. I mean, it's great to bring it through the universities, but for these boys to really have this information brought to them almost like on a plate to say, here, it's right here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We're presenting it to you. This is the perfect opportunity, because I promise you, 5-10 years gonna go just like that. We are in 2025 in July, and then we're gonna be in 2026 when we blink our eyes tomorrow. So it's like it goes by so fast, and it's so intricate and important for them to be a part of what you're doing.
And they have to dive in it and educate themselves. But speaking of that, I'm thinking about, the age that we're in. And I think about your business model and the thing that you said you were whiteboarding. Where does AI play in this? I mean, that's all we talk about at Amazon. So
AI is huge, right? So when we think about the Clubhouse Capital side, so we have Clubhouse Ventures holding company, and then we have Clubhouse Capital, which is the one that raises capital and invests in companies. We have Clubhouse Community, which is the community that I talked about where we're looking to build, and then Clubhouse Consulting. And so leveraging our experience as executives to consult with various companies. But on the capital side, our whole investment thesis is around emerging sports teams and leagues. So think flag football, MotoGP, Formula One, obviously for sports leagues. Women's tech specifically. So that could be wearables, it could be tech, it could be anything that helps the woman and gives better insight into the women body about how they operate as an athlete. And then the last one is the sports and AI and the whole tech convergence. And so what companies out there are using AI, are using blockchain, what have you, to advance sport. And so that's how we felt with Status Pro, being able to use like VR to simulate a quarterback, and you've got you read a cover zero, and you can do that virtually without having to worry about taking the hit from Agent Hutchinson, right? And so you think about that, and you think about some of the other companies out there. There's a league that has this new boxing league out of London that has sensors in the boxers' mouth guards, and so when they
I saw that.
You can dictate like how hard the hit is, and then that dictates the points as to how the match is scored. So there's a variety of things out there that are touching sport, AI, and blockchain, and so that's something that we're definitely passionate about and looking at. And but as I'm sure you've seen, AI is a term that's thrown around quite loosely nowadays, and so that's that diligence process of making sure you're really saying yes to the right ones and saying no to a lot of them.
Right. Absolutely.
Wow. What are some red flags that our athletes should watch out for?
So red flags in what sense? What is it, on the advisor side? Is it on the investment side? Is it
both? I would say both.
Yeah. So on the advisor side, like again, anyone that's not willing to answer questions, right? Like if you've got a list of 50 questions, make sure all 50 are answered. And if they're trying to only answer 25, don't do it, right? Like that's not something.
I like that.
I think advisors that have their house in order, right? And like everybody has different situations, but if everything is good on the home front, then there shouldn't be a reason for them to do anything nefarious on the business side, right? And so that's one of the things that I pride myself on. Saying I've got a solid home footing. The wife and the kids are taken care of, and therefore
happy life.
And if they're happy wife, happy life. If they're taken care of, I'm good, and then I'm able to do better business. And so I think that's something that people should really dig in on and understand. The advisor's background, their family, and do a background check. Like
that. Oh my gosh, that is so awesome.
And do a background check. And I mean,
$50. It can cost $50 on intelligence.com. Absolutely.
I mean, a thorough FBI background check, not one of those ones that a real one. And,
know if they're crazy or not, Fred.
Exactly. And then on the investment side, I would say anything that promises returns that just sound out crazy. Let's be right. If they're promising 100% returns in 2 years, like, okay, probably not going to happen, right? And so I'm always realistic. Like it's, hey, if we're going to invest in 10 companies, 7 of them likely going to go to zero. You're not going to make any money. But we're hoping that there's 3 that are going to get 20, 30, 40x returns that are going to make everybody's money back. But really understanding the investment thesis around how they're investing, right? And so the way we've structured it, the way we did is we have these team components where teams make money off of media rights. They make money off of tickets. They make money off of merch. And that is, I don't want to say it's recession proof, but it's recession resilient, right? No matter what's happening, people are going to go to a game. They're going to buy beer. They're going to drink. They're going to buy their favorite person's jersey. And ESPN, Fox, Disney, and all them are going to pay billions of dollars to put on their TV, right? And so investing in them, you're not going to lose money. You may not make a 20x return, but if you can make 3 to 5x, 3 to 6x, and your money's safe, pair that with the riskier investments across women's tech, the AI, and the blockchain, where you can take a shot in the dark and hope you're going to get a 20, 30, 40x return. And granted, you may get 1 or 2 of those, but compare that to not losing money on the team side, you're going to come out probably a little bit ahead versus losing in that sense. And so really just understanding how they invest, why they invest, and how are they going to structure in a way that's going to make it the most beneficial for you and make sure they're doing everything they can to not lose you money.
Okay. Now, do people come to you or do you go to them? How does, like, if someone's listening to this in other sports and they're not a part of football or basketball or anything like that, how are they able to get in contact with Clubhouse Ventures? Is this something that's still where you come to them or they come to you?
Well, I mean, we're new, so it's been a lot of business development and outreach, right, to get the word out there. So a lot of it has been me going to the folks that I know and tapping into our network.
The salesman.
Yeah, exactly. But I think with a lot of the things that we're doing and the things that we are hoping to convey, that the value proposition of investing alongside with us will increase the influx of inbound leads. And so if there's someone out there that's listening and wants to have a conversation, Fred at clubhousecapital.net or contact at clubhousecapital.net, it'll get to me, and more than willing to have a conversation, sit down, walk you through, who I am, who our team is, what we're looking to do, the deals that we have access to, the deals that we're looking at, and the people that we know that are going to help us make this a success.
Wow, this is awesome.
Yeah. I do want to end with one thing. This is new, Erica. So I want to do like just a quick rapid fire. We got you because you wear several hats, right? So favorite sports team you'd love to invest in one day?
Ooh, that's a good question. Favorite sports team I love to invest in? I would say the Lions, just because Detroit fan.
Yes.
We love to say just the history that goes along with it, where they are now with the new regime. Definitely the Lions, and probably the Tigers too, just being a baseball guy.
Yeah, you got to do that.
Yeah. Well, 2 more. More nerve-wracking, investor pitch or game 7 at bat?
I would say investor pitch, because probably similar to your sons, you go into a game extremely prepared, right? And so there's excitement that goes into a game, but I don't think I was ever nervous because I was always prepared going into it.
It's just the parents that's nervous.
Yeah, and I mean now, and as a brother, I'm nervous watching him, but yeah, on the investment pitch, it can just go so many different ways, right? Whereas in a baseball game, pitchers, he's got 3 or 4 pitches, and you've got a 25% shot you're gonna guess right. Whereas an investment pitch, he could bring in 10 people to a call you didn't expect and go off every which angle. So that's probably gives me a little more heartburn than the game 7.
All right. And the last one, go-to verse or mantra that keeps you grounded. Because you sound like, again, we're saying 34, sound like you're grounded, got great parents, great family. What is a mantra or a verse that keeps you grounded?
I've got quite a bit. I would say stay true to yourself. I think, especially being a 34-year-old Black young man, right? You're going to a lot of things where there's not a lot of folks looking like you. And so being able to walk into a meeting with your head up and confident and your chest up and articulate yourself in a way where what you're doing. That's the one I take away from me. And there's a story about that too. So I was in Vegas this past weekend. There's the NBA is potentially looking at expanding to Vegas. And so I was meeting with a group that's putting the bid together. And one white gentleman, white lady, traditional Wall Street finance type. Their suit and their high heels, and I walk in my jeans, my t-shirt, because it's 105 degrees in Vegas. And
right.
I'm staying true to myself, right? My my capital is just as good if I'm wearing a suit or if I'm wearing a t-shirt. And so I think that's just very much me staying true to myself and walking into a meeting as my true self.
Yeah, and the CEO.
I love that.
I love it. Love it.
I always ask this last question before you guys leave the stage. Your journey in one word.
Ooh, correct.
I love that.
I mean, it may not have been what I thought when I was 18 years old, but I'm here now because it's where I was meant to be. And so it was the correct journey, no matter how many deviating paths it took to get here.
I love that. That is awesome, man. Well, Fred, thank you so much for joining Moms in the Huddle. Before you leave, everybody that come on here says, I'm in the huddle. Can we get that from you?
I'm in the huddle.
Yeah.
Well, Fred, we're going to look forward to seeing your company prosper and go high. We're going to look forward to making connections within our communities with you as well. We want to thank you for being a part of Moms in the Huddle. And thank you for being in the huddle with us. You have a great one, okay?
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Fred.
Thank you.
We'll be talking.
Yes. Wow, Jillian. Woo.
Wealth of information.
When I say my mind is spinning.
Oh, yeah. So many opportunities. I'm like texting, like, get on this, gotta listen to this.
The good thing with it is we tape it and then our boys gonna go back and listen to it. And you know what? It's gonna be valuable information because we're gonna put it out there to everyone. So people, if you haven't already, like, comment, and subscribe on Moms in a Huddle, because we're coming to you every Monday. And sometimes you get us 2 or 3 times a week, depending on our guests and their schedules, to where we're able to bring valuable input, valuable knowledge to what's happening in the huddle. Today's huddle was no different. Like Fred came and just shined it's like when you're in a candy store, you're trying to get as much out, even though I'm trying to understand. It's not my, understanding. But when I finally start connecting, and I'm just like, yeah, sometimes we need to get on this thing, right?
Yes. And you have to, I love what he said about you have to, we were talking about our young adults, our sons, about carving out time. But even in our case, we have to carve out time. We talked about make space for growth. I was just talking to a friend of mine. I was saying how one of our leadership principles at Amazon is learn and be curious. And so always, someone asked me the other day, said, what was it like working? I said, I feel like I'm taking 2 masters and writing my PhD, writing my dissertation. And so, but you have to be in the mindset of always learning. I learned so much from this young man on this call.
Me too.
I'm like, okay, we gotta bring again as we learn, we gotta bring them along, and then they can
and they can take it.
He's phenomenal. 34, SAP, started his own business, expanded across Europe. That's amazing.
And you know, I heard majority of the things that went through everything he was telling us, connections. Who are you connected to?
Yeah,
that's what I heard. And everything he said, oh, well, I knew the person over here in I think it was in the UK, or I knew this person over here that, you know, they want to bring this. Or it was like relationship and connections. Like you can't fake that. You got to know, because sometimes people will connect with you just because they know you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. There was a study that was done. I wish I pull it up. There was a LinkedIn study did a study about people who are successful within their professional careers. Yeah. It's all based on their network. And so you can have a phenomenal profile, but if you're not connected to anyone, you're not going anywhere. I can just think about my career and the way I've been able to be successful, because most of the roles that I've had is because someone called me and said, hey, Jill, I think there's a role over here. So it's based upon those relationships that I had. So the relationships are so important.
It is important. And then the more I think about it, the more I see you grow from it every year. So you're not the same. I'm not the same Erica when I was 20 or 25. I'm like 47 now, and I'm trying to get so much information. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, none of us are. You know, we get there and we get this knowledge, and we're wanting to put it all in our kids all at one time. Like, here you go, bam, like throwing the snow on top of their head. But you know what? It comes over time.
Yeah, right? Seed time harvest. Seed time. Yeah. You didn't catch that. I said I'm 47 too. I said it a couple times.
Girl, you look good.
I'm just gonna rock with you on that age. I'm just gonna
Jillian, you look good, because I wouldn't even put you in no next category.
Come on. I'll take that. Wonderful.
All right. Well, you know what, Jillian? I got the legal note, and actually, you put our little thing together. One thing about Jillian, y'all, let me tell y'all, she always put things together for us, and I'm able to change the little thing to say legal note up here, and I got your one for marketing. Jillian,
You got it.
It's right there at the top. You see it to the left of us, so they can see it's our legal note moment. Okay.
Oh, yes. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, let me give the legal note. So what we heard tonight from Fred was so much good information, but one of my legal tips that I definitely want to bring to the forefront before investing with any firm, and this is for anybody out there, NIL, athletes, everybody, even one of the athletes' ties or credibility, ask these three things. Number one, is the investment registered or exempt with the SEC or your state regulator? A lot of times people are investing in companies that's not even registered with the SEC or not even registered with their state regulator, to where no one is having oversight to know what these companies are doing. That's where you have a lot of multi-level marketing schemes, right? That will take place. Then number two, are they a fiduciary, legally obligated to act in your best interest? Meaning companies must act in good faith with you when it comes down to you making investments. Are they legally binded? Meaning, can you take them to court and sue them? Well, you can, even if they aren't. But you want to ask that next question. The third one is, what are the risks, fees, and the exit terms? Can you get your money back easily? Now, when you're thinking about investing and when you're thinking about putting your money into something, you have to ask these questions. Sometimes people hear, like Fred was telling us, oh, you can get 100% investment back within 2 years. Well, that's not highly likely, right? So you want to understand, a lot of times in order to cook a good roast, it has to cook and simmer for a while. That's where investments really come back. So that's my legal tip and my legal note, just so you know, before you're investing, before you're getting into a lot of these firms or a lot of these things, ask some very key questions that may be very telling, red flags. And if you can't ask those questions like Fred was telling us, then you know what? That's probably not the firm you want to go with, right? So that's Erica's legal tip, and I hope you learned something on that.
I learned something. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So listen, this episode really inspired by Fred, his journey from athlete to an investor. We're focusing on what it really means to help your student athlete think like an owner, not just a player. We talked about that earlier. And why is that important? Because in the NIL, it's not just about cashing in; it's about leveling up. We talked about, instead of just asking for the dollar in the NIL deal, ask for the equity. And so that's the leveling up part. I just want to give one strategy to help your athlete build influence and long-term value. And number one is educate yourself before you. Right now, we talk about NIL still like the wild, wild west. I just said this to my older son, who is, again, learning through his journey in entrepreneurship and business, is that not all money is good money.
That's true.
So, listen, some deals lock athletes into a long-term contract without little return. There might be some shady clauses in there, zero brand alignment, does not align with your brand, but you just sign it away. And so you want to make sure you educate yourself before you sign. So what do? Make sure you have a vetted attorney or NIL advisor review every contract, right? Before your child signs anything. Teach your athlete to ask questions. One question is, what does this deal require me to post? What is my requirement, right? Does this align with my future goals? Not today in 2025. If you see yourself in the sport 5 years from now, does this align with my vision and my purpose?
Yeah.
What is it? Am I feeling good about it? Other questions. What am I giving up long term for the short term gain? What am I giving up for the short term gain? So again, if someone is rushing you to sign, that's a red flag. Don't do it. Again, the way you want to market yourself. And then the last thing I'll say, just promote with purpose. Visibility without attention is just noise. I was asked this question on a panel a couple of weeks ago, and they asked me, when do you speak up at the table? When you got something really important to say. You just don't talk just to talk.
Yes, that's right.
Visibility without intention is noise. So you don't want to make a lot of noise. So when you do your marketing, use your social media to highlight, your work ethic. I talked about that before. Send out gratitudes. I say that again, and be professional. And so if your child is, can understand what influence is income, and that ownership is the goal, not just endorsements, they'll win well beyond the court, the field, or the track. And so all it ideals is a starting point. Ownership is a destination. So that's my marketing tip for the day.
I like, and I would also like to add, know what you're talking about. It's nothing worse than showing up somewhere and you open your mouth and you don't know what you're talking about. So as an athlete, that was good, Jillian, educating yourself. But in educating yourself, when all that getting, what the Bible tells us, to get an understanding, know what you're talking about when you're out there. So I love that marketing moment, Jillian. So Jillian, we always do this. We are at 1 hour and 19 minutes.
But I love this. Again, we talk about this therapy for us. I hope it's a blessing to others. We still got a lot of work to do. We're still new. This is episode 13 already, but we're still new. 13. We got a long list of guests that we're going to be bringing on. That's going to share some light and love and intelligence and knowledge, and so we're excited about it.
I know. We're also going to have a Q&A session where we're going to hear from you. We're going to hear what questions you may want to ask Moms in a Huddle about anything sports related or anything about being in a huddle of life. Doesn't have to be sports related, because Moms in a Huddle means we're in a huddle with life, in life together, because in the huddle, no parent stands alone, no athlete stands alone, no coach stands alone. And we talk about so many aspects, but we're going to eventually have a Q&A where you can come on, ask your questions, and we'll do our best as professionals, even if it's a legal question for myself. I am a licensed attorney in the state of Michigan. If it's a marketing strategy, branding, then Jillian will answer those questions. But I will say, we want to be that avenue that people can come to and trust that what we're saying and giving is good information.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, Erica, you guys have 2 events this weekend, right?
We have one event. We have one event coming up this weekend.
Okay, tell us about it.
Yeah, so the one event is through my son's foundation, the Samaj J. Morgan Foundation. And that is an event that's geared toward children that have lost their parents. We have about 19 kids. Some of the kids are going to be able to make it, but we're still getting them gifts for a couple of them play sports. They're going to be traveling. We're still going to give them their gifts, but these kids have lost moms and dads. Some of their parents have been, I don't want to say the M word, but they're no longer here. Some of their parents, they're being taken care of by other relatives. So what we do is every year, Samaj's program, and what he does, he gives back to his community. So July is Children's Month. So he's Big Brother Day. He's taking them down to Dave and Buster's. Him and some of his teammates are going to play games with them. And if John is in town, we want John to show up. If John is in town,
what day is that?
Saturday. It's this Saturday. So it's for any athlete that want to show up and just say, we got these kids here. We want to play with them. We want to let them know that you're not forgotten about every year. We're your big brother for today. So we're going to have our shirts on. He was their big brother last year. And these kids just want to come and just smile and have fun. They don't want to think about what's happened, but we're just trying to bring a smile to their face. So that's what we'll be doing this weekend.
I love that. I love that. Yeah.
And check this out, Jillian. Samaj is taking part of his NIL money to pay for the event. He didn't have a lot of sponsors saying, hey, here's some money. Samaj's like, okay, this is the event. These are the kids. Let me run that money. Run them chips. That's why I tell him, run them chips. He was like, Mom, you're right. What they want. Let's get them this. Let's get them that. Let's give them this. We're praying for them to eat too. So,
I'm a big proponent on a big advocate and giving back. One of the things I said to Jonathan when he was hosting a camp, and I said, you were one of those campers years ago. So I remember texting. I said, I want you to go in with that same spirit that when you was excited that somebody was going to teach you. And so we have to get back. So that's true. I love it. I saw your flyer and I said, we want to make sure we mention that. But I also want to mention an event that we have coming up.
Yes.
Called Merge Madness. It's a charity basketball game. Merge is called Michigan Employee Resource Group for Equity. So think of your employees from Amazon, from Google, from Stellantis, Ford, from GM, from many different companies come together They're going to lace up their sneakers.
Oh, that's going to be good.
That's for a great cause. We're going to be playing a charity basketball game at the Pistons Performance Center on this coming Friday, July 25th at 5:30. We're going to have, it's just a lot of fun. Halftime, we're going to do boots on the court. No boots, though. Soft shoes only. But we're going to have
boots on the grounds then?
Yes.
Boots on the court. Okay.
Yes.
Boots on the court. I'm coming, Jillian. I'm coming. That's all you had to do to get me there, okay?
Yes. We got right before they play, we partner with Lululemon. They have an ambassador that's going to come and stretch out those men who have not ran the court. We also have EMS on the building just in case.
Girl, how old are these people coming to play?
They're professionals. And then I'm super excited because we have a young woman who was the first WNBA player woman. WNBA. Yes, her name is Dina Head. She actually is an Amazonian. She's been working on Amazon for 17 years. If you Google her, she was the first WNBA player to be signed, and she's going to be coaching one of the teams.
Wow. Yeah. Now that's historical, Jillian.
Yes, it is. And it's all goes, this fundraiser all goes to Reggie McKenzie Foundation. They've been doing work within the Metropolitan Detroit area for over 50 years. I think this is year 52. But they've been running the basketball camp this year, 2025, for 35 years.
Man.
Long time.
Y'all gonna have some good food there too, I'm sure, right?
No, not really. We got popcorn.
You know what, Jillian? Not Jillian. You know Jillian. You know
it's a basketball game.
Jillian, you know me and you now. Come on now. We
can go afterwards.
Okay.
It's a charity. We're raising funds, so we couldn't.
All right.
We gotta go to do the programming.
Well, that's all right because we're giving back to charity, but we got to give back to the stomachs too. So
I might have to go around the corner and give me some.
Girl, don't tell me. I will meet you there. Okay. Okay. Well, Jillian, we gotta end. Okay. So moms in the huddle, where they at?
In the huddle.
Moms in the huddle, where they at?
In the huddle.
Moms in the huddle, where they at?
In the huddle.
That's the anthem. Get them hands up. Hey.
Now, my cousin Melanie is watching. We need our theme music. You're supposed to be singing this for us. We sounded like idiots.
No, we be like, we're getting it together. We do good. Yes, but make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe, and let others know that we are here every Monday at 7 p.m. unless Eastern Standard Time, unless something go on. But you got to like, comment, and subscribe because we coming in and we're coming in with the right heart and we love everyone. So we'll see y'all next week. In the huddle, no parent stands alone.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.